There's a new report out from JP Morgan. It raises the alarm on the shrinking U.S. workforce, and it says it's a threat to our national security as industries like cybersecurity, microelectronics are all predicted to see job vacancies over the next decade. Doug Flynn on this from Flynn Zito Capital Management right now, and they say that, we were having a conversation about the workforce overall a little bit earlier in the show, like wage growth versus inflation and that kind of thing. And I just think that at this point, looking at overall numbers, first of all, we don't have some of them because of the shutdown, but looking at overall numbers is not as instructive as kind of looking industry by industry, and that's why this report was kind of interesting to me. You look at some of the industries that we need people for, we don't have the people, we don't have the skills, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of money chasing and with all these initiatives and everything, and that's great, but you have to back it up with the people to actually do the jobs, and a lot of this is forecasting that there's not enough of these skills in order to make this happen, and that's the issue and why it's a threat. There are absolutely things you can do. You could build those skills by do digital skills training. You can introduce that through adult ed, through when they're younger. You can support reskilling and apprenticeships. You can do that. Employers have to get involved. They have to do internships and look to certifications and not just require a degree. And you need definitely the politicians from getting better policy. Right
is that an immigration question? Because Trump has been saying that he wants to bring in, when he allows people to or companies to invest here, say from Japan, wherever it may be, that they might have to bring their own workers, right? And I know that might be a tough sell for him with his base. I don't know, but that's part of it too, right?
Well, yeah, I think you have to get education at the school level here aligned with those needs a lot better. But it also has to do with the fact that while we're ramping that up, immigration is a key part of it, because perhaps some of those skills in the areas we don't have. So for instance, like I think just in semiconductors, there's probably millions of jobs with all the trillions of dollars they've put at it. We're not going to ramp that up that fast. We're going to need people from other countries. They have to work that out. And so I think, just the raising awareness that this article did and what JP Morgan did and the fact that we're talking about it are keys. We need to start talking about it and come up with a better cohesive plan. Private, public, government has to work together. I do agree.
You agree with them that it's a national security threat? You think that's a good way to put it or look at it, or?
Well, down the road, look, if you can fill it all with U.S. people, great. But if you can't, you have to be smart about your immigration. But either way, if we don't do this, China and other countries are going to eat our lunch, and we can't have that happen. And you have the money behind this. So it's not the money, it's all the other pieces that have to come together.
Okay, one other kind of financial story I thought was interesting, really, for the last couple of days, these reports about SpaceX, which Elon basically confirmed. But IPOs in general, SpaceX is probably going to go public and seek a $1.5 trillion valuation, and that'll help, poor Elon, his net worth might go up a little bit, which will be nice. But this is a huge company. It's been the biggest private company for many, many years, and apparently it's not the only one. There's going to be, are we optimistic about initial public offerings, companies going public next year?
So, yeah, the market is, and whenever you have the market running like it has the last 3 years, that kind of gets people amped up for IPOs. You have this area in particular, AI and tech. And so, look, you have to put this in perspective. It's not, we talk about SpaceX, but the jewel of that is Starlink. That's where the revenue comes from. And there's other companies in there. But look, put this in perspective. A $1.5 trillion valuation, there's only 7 companies that are in the U.S. that are that large. This would be the largest IPO ever. And all these other companies, they would make a very large impact on the market. The problem is you have to be careful, because you can have a company like WeWork that came out with a $47 billion valuation. It was overhyped, and that went bankrupt. So don't overpay for these IPOs. Make sure they're fairly valued, and that's where the opportunity is there.
You don't want them making documentaries or writing movie scripts about you for the wrong reasons like they did with WeWork.
Definitely not.
Thank you, Doug.